So hey guys, it's Tim again, and I'm here to talk about the upcoming fall season of games. It's a weird one. It's an eclectic bunch of games that I'm looking forward to this fall. And really only one of them can fall into the AAA category. And even it isn't what I would call a full release. Um, so yeah, this is an interesting fall of 2024. I am not really looking forward to any of the big name releases that I can think of anyway. There are three in particular, and an honorable mention that I'm going to throw out there that I am very excited about though, and they are an odd bunch, and well, I want to talk about them a little bit. So the first one is the one that I would consider the closest to a giant AAA game, and that is the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion for Elden Ring. Elden Ring was easily everybody's game of the year last year, and I was never able to finish it. I've only finished Bloodborne out of all of the Soulsborns. I have played most of them. I've nearly beaten Dark Souls 3, and I made it to the Fire Giant on two separate runs in Elden Ring, so I know I've gotten relatively close to the end. But for some reason, I've just never gotten around to beating it. I'm the type that I get frustrated and I try something else to blow some steam off, and then when I come back, my character may be appropriately leveled, but my hand-eye coordination and my muscle memory is not. So I struggle going back to that game, and then I start over again, and by the time I get 40 hours in, I'm like, oh Christ, I need another break. Anyway, Shadow of the Erdtree looks pretty badass. It looks like it's going to be a deep lore dive, which I find very interesting. The story trailer for it was heavier than normal Bandai Namco FromSoft story trailers. It seems like they might actually be leaning into the lore a little bit for this. I find that very interesting because it was the world itself and how it got to be the way it was that I found most interesting in Elden Ring. The ability to actually level your way out of some of your problems in that game was a very nice distraction from previous Souls games. But yeah, I always stalled out on it, and I definitely do want to try this out. It looks like it's going to be as difficult as ever. I'm assuming new weapons and abilities, massive new areas, and plenty of new bosses. I expect there to be some humongous set piece bosses. I'm looking forward to checking out the various unique methods of taking them down that people find. One of the joys of the Soulsborne community is watching the speed runs and the challenge runs, and I very much look forward to that in the coming months, or I guess towards the end of the summer and early fall. So that's going to definitely be one to look forward to. Now, next up couldn't be more different, and that is Astrobot on the PS5. I haven't played a great platformer in a long time. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Astrobot for the PSVR, Astrobot for the PS5, the pack-in freebie that came with it. That was easily the best demonstration of the haptic controller that I've seen yet. A handful of games utilize it really, really well, but that utilized it extraordinarily well. The one thing I hate is how much the batteries die while you're using that feature, but Astrobot really did a good job of that. This looks to be the full game Mario-ized version of Astrobot. I tell you what, Sony really needs to mascot this little guy already. With all of the Funko Pop style cameos from Sony properties that they mix into the Astrobot series, it would make for a phenomenal twice a generation platforming fun. They could honestly out Mario with this thing. if they do it right. I'm not convinced that they will, but I have had so much fun with their previous offerings that I am definitely willing to give it a chance. It looks vibrant, it looks silly, and it looks fun. And those are three things that you just don't get enough of in games these days. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I imagine I will dunk 25 or 30 hours into it. It'll probably be a one and done. But sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need just a good week-long platforming cartoony binge, and that really looks like it's going to satisfy that need or check that box. Now, lastly is a one that I had almost forgotten about, to be honest, until I saw a recent trailer popped out, and that is Metaphor ReFantazio. And it's made by former Persona devs, from what I understand, and it looks on the surface level, and even with a little bit of a deeper dive, to be a more action-y focused fantasy take on the Persona 5 formula. It looks like the combat is going to be quite a bit more action focused. From what I understand, there are two different combat styles you can partake in. I'm not certain on the details of switching between those two styles. One is more turn-based, one is more action. I want to say the turn-based one is more for the bosses, but I could be wrong. I'm not certain. You might be able to switch in between them on the fly, or in the menu settings. It might be a difficulty sort of thing. I'm not sure. It has an extremely unique art style. It's got a mix of those Persona 5 character designs and just a really vibrant, hand-drawn, cartoony fantasy architecture world that they're living in. The monster designs look very reminiscent of the Persona and the Shin Megami Tensei series. I hope I said that right. I always struggle with it. But yeah, it looks really story-focused. Empire-spanning, giant, political strife, that sort of stuff. And it looks really unique. The battle system looks fun. It looks like sort of a combination of the Ys series or the Wise series. I don't know how you pronounce that either. And Persona. A little bit of turn-based, a whole lot of button pressing. And I really am looking forward to it. Personas are great, and I love the modern take on what they do. But sometimes it's nice to have a fantasy world, and too often it feels like the fantasy world RPGs don't evolve the actual gameplay, and I am really looking forward to seeing what Metaphor ReFantazio does with that. The fantasy setting, but with that evolving Persona 5 style gameplay. So yeah, I really look forward to that one too. So yeah, we've got a giant Japanese RPG. We've got a giant Japanese platformer, and we've got a giant Japanese action RPG add-on. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not looking forward to much from the West these days, or at least this year. But that's okay. That's okay. They'll have their turn. They always do. Some honorable mentions, I guess, well, okay, for sure an honorable mention is Build 42 for Project Zomboid. Assuming that actually comes out this year, which I still think it's gonna, it is gonna add so much to that game. It is going to add so much hunting and wildlife. It is going to add basements, underground floors to facilities. It is going to add stories beyond 5, so I believe it's going to go up to 15 story buildings now. What else are they adding? An enormous amount of crafting is getting added, including smithing and forging. So a lot of late game stuff, And then they're also reworking a bunch of the sprites, a bunch of the animations, blah, blah, blah. So I very much look forward to that. I recently saw an update that they were scaling back a handful of the features for it because they were just having a really difficult time bug testing all of it. So it looks like they're going to wrap up a majority of 42 and release it relatively soon in the next couple of months. And then kind of start working towards 43, which I honestly thought 42 might be their last big update. But these guys might just make it a lifelong thing. You never know. So yeah, that's really cool. And then the other one is real iffy for me. But if Star Wars Outlaws gets good reviews, I will buy the base version of it. There's no chance Ubisoft will get extra money out of me for that game, but if it reviews well and it looks fun, I will probably pay $70 to play the base version of it. So yeah, those are the 3, 4, and maybe 5 games that I'm looking forward to this year. It's a weird bunch, but hey, sometimes you just got to mix things up. So let me know in the comments if you're looking forward to anything in particular, or if you're really looking forward to any of the ones I mentioned. And yeah, I'd appreciate any sort of comments, interactions, engagement of the sort. And my name's Tim. Good to see you. Take care.